Dear students, today we are going to learn the prose lesson from 7th Standard English book, Term 1, Unit 2, Prose, The Wind on Haunted Hill, written by Rustin Bond. Rustin Bond is an eminent contemporary Indian writer of British descent. He was born on 19th May 1934. He studied in Bishop Cotton School, Shimla. He authored inspiring children's books, over 500 short stories, as well as various essays and poems. He was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award in 1992, Padma Shri in 1999, and Padma Bhushan in 2014 for his contribution to the growth of children's literature in India. Bond lives in Landor, Missouri with his adopted family. The room on the roof, the blue umbrella, the night train at Deoli. Delhi is not far. Rusty the boy from the hill, roads to Missouri are some of his best works. He wrote about nature and ordinary people and their daily lives. One such story is a prose lesson, The Wind on Haunted Hill. Let's see the characters in the story. Usha, the main character, she was 11 or 12 years old. Suresh, Usha's younger brother, he was 8 years old. Their father was in the army, posted in a distant part of the country. Grandfather lived with them. He used to tell them many stories. Binia, Usha's friend and neighbor. Children, there are already so many synonyms given in your textbook. You can read them from there. Let me just add a few more to help you understand the lesson easily. Here we go. Rattled, short, quick sound. Chalked, blocked. Fluttered, flapping the wings. Firmly, strongly. Chop, cut. Ghost, devil. Rumble, thunder sound. Grim, gloomy. Howling, wailing cry. Sway, move slowly. Boomed, a loud, deep sound. Instantly, immediately. Blossoms, flowers. Slung, hang. Glistening, shining. Plumage, bird's feathers. Venturing, involving in a risky activity. Flutter, fly unsteadily. Pace, step. Steeply, sharply rising or falling surface. Breeze, wind blow. To get the best effect of the story, we need to know the situation and the climate in and around the Himalayan ranges. The hills were full of trees, tall pines and deodars. The farmers grew many fruit crops like citrus fruits in valleys, grapes in the high hills, apples and pears, and stone fruits like peach, plum, apricot and cherry in considerable quantity. And other wild trees, plants and flowers too grew over there. The region that we read in the story is near the Himalayan ranges. So the wind normally used to be cold as it comes down from the Himalayan snows. There were villages on the slopes of the hills. The houses were small and made of tin roofs. On every house, people kept large stones to save the roofs from the wind or from blowing away. Generally, it used to be windy on all days, even on sunny days, which means in summer too. Doors and windows rattled, chimneys blocked and closed blew away. The month of March is considered unpleasant in the hills because it brings torrential rain with cold wind. Torrential means heavy rainfall. Now let's go with the prose, The Wind on Haunted Hill. This story has 3 sections. The first section is opened with description of wind that blew down from the Himalayan snows over the hills and trees. It passed the haunted hill, the ruins, and reached the small village on the slope of the next hill. On one sunny and windy day, Usha, her brother Suresh, and her friend Binya were spreading the clothes out to dry and kept stones on each dress to hold it firmly. Then all the three took some rest sitting on the flat stones, speaking about the haunted hill and the ruins. Haunted means possessed. Ruins, collapsed building. Now Usha planned to go for the weekly shopping. Binya wished to join Usha, but she couldn't because her mother wasn't well. She had to help with the cows and the housework. And Suresh, Usha's brother, was too willing to join her, but he had to help Grandpa. Suresh was worried about Usha's return from the bazaar in the evening, passing the haunted hill, because Grandfather said over 100 years ago, an English family lived on the hill. One day, all the family members, including the two children, were killed by the lightning. And he had seen the two children playing in the moonlight near the ruins even now during night time. He said that ghosts don't appear during the day, only they appear during the darkness or during the night time. That's why Suresh was bothered about Usha's return in the darkness. Usha set out to the bazaar at 2 in the afternoon, passing the yellow flowering mustard fields, hills and ruins. The ruined house had crumbling or broken walls with wild flowers, and a plum tree grew with white flowers falling down at the middle of the large hall of the ruined building. She saw lizards on the stones and a bird singing out its heart on the empty window. Usha was little scared seeing all these, and so she started singing to herself, and soon she reached the bazaar. There she bought soap, matches, spices, sugar, a new pipe stem for her grandfather, exercise book for her brother Suresh to work out, and some marbles for him too. Then she left her mother's slippers at the cobbler's to repair. As the cobbler was very busy, she told him that she will get back in an half an hour time. After that, she bought an amber-colored necklace from an old Tibetan lady with her savings of 2 rupees. There she met her Aunt Lakshmi, who took Usha to her flat above the shops for tea. And there she spent an hour listening to her aunt complaining about her pains in the joints, in bones and spinal and so on. When the dark clouds gathered over mountains, she hurried home after collecting her mother's slippers from the cobbler. With this, section 1 comes to an end. In section 2, we see storm on the haunted hill. Usha hurried to get back to the village with the shopping bag over her shoulder. Strangely, the wind stopped. The trees, leaves and grasses were still. The crows settled down in an oak tree for the night stay. The black clouds were threatening to rain over the haunted hill. Usha did not have an umbrella, but only had a shawl and a scarf. She thought to herself to reach home before the rain. But suddenly the raindrops came faster. The lightning followed by thunder and wind grew in force. She was not able to walk past. She was fully drenched and she could not open her eyes in the rain as it was raining against her face. So she ran to take shelter in the ruined building. She moved sideways to reach the corner of the old roofs for shelter. But she touched a wildcat and was frightened. It was dry at the old fireplace opposite to her. but she did not know the way to go there in the darkness. At that time, she remembered grandfather's story about the English family in the ruined house. And she, as we all do normally, prayed that the lightning would not strike her. There was a quick lightning again and again, and in the flash of lightning, she saw two small figures in the fireplace. She thought immediately to herself, it might be the ghost, the children about who the grandfather spoke, or who died in the haunted hill years back. Here we start with section 3. Now Usha wanted to leave the ruined building immediately, seeing the two ghostly creatures. She didn't want to stay there anymore, and she rushed out, but she stumbled and got bumped on something and gave a frightened scream. There was reply screams, and soon she recognized the voice of Suresh and Binya. Suresh and Binya had come in search of Usha, and they were caught in the rain and took shelter in the ruined building. Usha wanted to leave immediately. Then they were surprised, relieved, and happy finding each other over there. Usha wanted to leave the ruined building immediately, but Binya said that the paths had fallen in between in the rains, so they decided to stay there. Together they had warmth and confidence. They were not frightened anymore because they were together, all the three. They stayed in the ruins all night, which means till morning. When the rain stopped in the morning, birds began to sing. The sky was pink and bright. Then they left the ruined building. As they were climbing down, Usha felt as if a hand waving behind the wall. It was not truly a hand. Binya said it was the sway of the plum tree which grew in the middle of the hall. Yet, Usha heard voices on the wind saying goodbye. Still, Usha wondered if it was just the wind or. Let's summarize the lesson in few sentences. In section 1, Usha started to the bazaar at 2 in the afternoon. Walked an hour to reach. She took her time in the bazaar and spent 1 hour with her aunt Lakshmi, and she started to come back to the village. And in section 2, Usha tried to reach the village before the rain, but rain started suddenly. There were lightning, thunder and heavy rain with wind. So she took shelter in the ruined building. In section 3, Usha mistook the figures of Suresh and Binya as ghosts, as the children who died years back in the ruined building, and soon recognized their voice. They spent the whole rainy night in the ruined building. They left the ruins next morning, reached their home. Thank you.